Did a secret meeting just take place? And it may surprise you of who the secret meeting was with. It was with what we consider our allies, and then one polarizing figure. It will blow your mind what may have just happened. Also, we're going to talk about the war on chicken and our food. The war on farmers and the people trying to grow their own food, to be self-sufficient. We're going to talk about what's happening and then what it's causing. When there's an action, there's a reaction, and we're going to talk about that. Every time people make more regulation on you and the government makes more regulation on you, it makes it where it affects you more and costs you more money. We're going to talk about that today. Also, we're going to talk about some riots that are taking place that is just showing exactly what is going to happen if we do not go forward with the plan of what Trump is wanting to do to make sure people that are not supposed to be here leave. And then some more information about Russia-Ukraine. We'll jump into all these things today as we sit here on a beautiful, beautiful day on the farm. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We humbly thank you for watching us each and every day. Now let's talk about these stories. Before we get to a quote-unquote secret meeting that just took place, allegedly, let's talk about some other things. There's a story that came out about egg prices, and it says egg prices surge again as grocers face shortages amid outbreak of bird flu. Now, it goes on in this story talking about how eggs will keep on going up. We can't afford them. People will have 15 to 20% more money tied up in eggs than they did just last year, all because of this outbreak. Now, that is the effect of something that's happened. So we have a action and a reaction. This is the reaction. Now, let's go back just a few days ago, and I want you to listen to this conversation. And this is not just dealing with one location, but I want to bring your attention to it. This was shared on Twitter. It says, U.S. government is out of control. Woman in tears just had our meeting with the county commissioners, and they denied my chance to have eggs and raise chickens and have an egg stand out in front of my house. The zoning laws won't allow it, but my house zoned to have chickens, but we can only have a certain amount, and we can't do anything to help give or sell to other individuals. All I wanted was to legally sell eggs in front of my house as customers make it easy. Now, we talk about this a lot. Buying from each other, buying from farms, buying from co-ops, buying from your neighbors, because that is how it should be done. Bartering, working together to make sure that we become more sustainable without government intervention. Now let's keep on going. It says, I have talked to the Nevada Department of Agriculture, and they have said that I have got a product certificate. I've got food handlers cards. I have an inspection done on my animals. I have a DBA. I have a liability insurance, and still I cannot sell eggs. Now, the attention I want to bring to this is she had not only one regulatory body, not only two regulatory bodies, not only three, not only four, not only five regulatory bodies that were trying to stop her from selling eggs. Eggs. So you wonder why your egg prices are up? Because the action is to hurt the little guy, hurt the backyard chicken operations, to then turn around and then cause an outbreak or have an outbreak in our communities or have an outbreak across the world to make your food costs go more. This is happening across every farm dealing with all animals. The reason I'm standing right here, if you see kind of in the background right back here, there's a chicken barn, we're raising broilers, we're raising layers. There's also a herd of Herefords standing right there. That's our meat. We have dairy cows sitting right beside you. Why do we do that? Because we see with all the regulatory bodies, sometimes it's even hard to sell to your neighbor. It shouldn't. It's amazing that we will allow crime in the streets. And in California, you can literally steal up to $1,000. But for some reason, this poor lady cannot sell her eggs because 5 regulatory bodies have wrapped her up with zoning. That is a broken system, and that's the part that we have got to fix with this regulation. That's why, like Secretary of Agriculture, the word's been that Thomas Massey's going to vie for that. HHS under RFK is going to do less regulation, more openness with our food sourcing. This is what we need. I hope they actually hold to it, because, for instance, did you know the top 500 food brands are owned by about 10 to 11 companies? No matter what food you're buying in America, most of them are owned by 10 companies. Does that not blow your mind? So you got to face that. Are they willing to face that and say, we're going to deregulate, because now instead of having to go to the grocery store, or instead of having to buy something that's been marked up because of some outbreak, you can buy from your neighbor. But no, there's 5 flipping regulatory bodies that is trying to stop her, or she had to get 5 different licensures, and the 6th one held her up with zoning. That is highway robbery. So when people say, well, we're paying too much for eggs, well, the problem is we have 15 other regulatory bodies telling you that you're supposed to pay more for eggs, because not only do they not know about this flu outbreak and how it probably is no big deal when it comes to chickens, they're taking their rights away from people to raise their own food and to help their neighbor. Now let's move right into other stories dealing with what's going on in a major city. In Montreal, complete chaos is unfolding in the streets in Montreal as Hamas supporters have flooded the streets. They are literally tearing Montreal to pieces. Now, why is this a big deal, Colby? It's Canada. Well, we saw this in the UK. You know why this is a big deal? Because when you have open border policies and you allow people to come into your country and not assimilate to the culture and not be thankful and take that country for granted. For instance, you know, America was made of a country of immigrants. You talk about the Statue of Liberty. But people were thankful, so thankful to be here. And they were willing to do everything they could to assimilate and to be part of this culture and to make America their home. Well, that's not what's happening. Like, for instance, these people that have been brought into Montreal are now destroying the cities, all in the name of supporting a terror group. Now, help me make sense of that. Now, while this was happening, the fearless leader of Canada was literally caught dancing at a Taylor Swift concert. So it reminds me of, you know, if you ever watch Hunger Games, it reminds me that, like, it's literally burning down. The city is burning down, and your leader is partying up in the Capitol. That is what is wrong. Now, the reason I want to bring it to your attention, because if we don't have good leadership and we don't have the right people getting people out of our country that's not supposed to be there, you're going to see this happen in America. You're already starting to see it in some cities like New York, Chicago, and in California cities too, Los Angeles and so forth, San Francisco. Problem is, you have these mayors and these governors that are trying to stand against that. Denver's mayor came out and said the same thing. Said that we will start a uprising. Doesn't that sound almost like a war against your government? Now, here's the thing. If they were standing on principles and morals and values and up for a true American family, so be it. I think that's a great, awesome thing. But they're literally putting their neck on the line and going to cause catastrophic damage in their cities, all in the name of people who are not actually American citizens. But remember, last story, the person couldn't even sell her eggs on the road because the government held it up. But no, these governments are going to protect these people and give them all they want who's here illegally. We have a broken system, and it's a double standard. And if you have core convictions, values, and you're conservative, and you want American first policies, you are the one. Even though we won the election, you're still one of the ones that is alienated in your own country. I mean, look at Trump. He's struggling to get appointments through that's not even started yet because even Republicans are against him. Murkowski came out and said, I will not support any person Trump appoints without a very staunch FBI investigation in them. By what, a corrupt FBI group? I mean, this is what I'm saying. We have our own bureaucrats working against its American people while trying to protect the other ones. It's exactly what's happening in Montreal, where they're literally burning the city down and the cops can't control it. There was something the other day that said, well, if police would just police better, well, police can't police better because you are taking their rights away to police. The government is not supporting their police in their cities. They want enforcement. Government wants enforcement when it benefits them, but when it actually says, okay, we just want to keep our town safe and our sheriff is willing to keep our town safe and our police is willing to keep our town safe, no, don't do that. But when we want you to do something, we want you to do it. It's a broken system. And if we don't fix it, we're going to see the catastrophic chaos that's happening in Montreal, that's happening in London, that's happening in some of these areas. It's going to happen here. And I'm thankful that Trump won. Now the question is, can he get these appointments through, and can the Republicans in Congress actually have backbone? And that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm truly worried about. Can I believe Trump's administration can do good things? Yeah. But if they have no support from the Congress, what's going to actually happen? I hope that Elon and Vivek have, I hope they have ableness to work, and I hope that Trump has the ableness to close down a lot of this stuff that he's talking about too, and do a work around the Congress. Now, do I want that always? No. But when the Congress is trying to push against American values, then it's time to just say, you know what, we can do it without you. It's a bold statement. I know people say, oh, no, that is not checks and balances. Yeah, but if the checks and balances against you as the American, and they're worried about their bureaucracy and worried about their next vote and worried about their spending money instead of yours, that's a problem, and we need to fix it. And I think that that's why we elected Trump and had people like Vivek and RFK and Tulsi and literally Elon on the side of trying to just make America back to where it once was, a great nation. Lastly, two more stories, and they kind of go together. First, Russia came out and said that we can literally bomb London within 20 minutes. There would be a hypersonic missile that could hit London in 20 minutes. Now, a lot of this is talk. A lot of this is push. We're to a point in our nation to where we have our own leadership leading us into a world war. Now, here's the thing. The only thing that can save us is two things. And not talking spiritually now, and of course, God can save us, no doubt. I'm saying this, though. The only thing that's going to help an advisement role to make sure we don't end up in a major world war conflict is two things. Putin having discretion to say, you know what, I know Biden is going out. I know his leadership is going out. Not only that, I know that yes, they are bombing us, but they're not putting it in places that are causing major damage. And then they can also say, well, I need to make sure that Russia knows I'm strong, so they're doing the same thing, bombing back. So far, St. Petersburg, Moscow, Kiev have not been just meleeed. They've not just been completely destroyed. So the discretion of making sure they're not bombing major capitals and destroying these areas could be the only thing that helps. So I'm saying, okay, if Putin would just hang on and just hold forth another 60 days, there's new leadership. And I think they keep telling themselves that. Now, the question is, how much is America and NATO going to escalate before that point? And how much is Putin going to hold back? That's the question. Now, that brings me to the secret meeting, alleged meeting. But this is a exclusive that was dropped. Trump is holding secret global peace summits with the head of NATO in Mar-a-Lago right now. Now, there was word that he had several leaders, several big meetings, and several summits in Mar-a-Lago. Now, if you remember, Mar-a-Lago was pretty much the southern White House for a long time before he purchased it and made it what it was. I don't know if Trump is making a play to where he didn't have to actually be in Washington all the time. One thing we've noticed with our friend from Delaware, Biden, he spent more time vacationing on the beach and at his townhome in Delaware where he wasn't doing business. He was just on vacation. Here, I'm going to say a bold statement, and this is why I think this is a good move. Trump does not need, quote unquote, the White House in D.C. to make policy. Trump does not need to stay every day in D.C. because it is corrupt. He's talking about draining the swamp. How about starting this? How about go when you need to go, but ultimately, do your policies elsewhere? I mean, think of how awesome it would be to say, you know what? Florida has been making America great again. Florida's leadership under DeSantis and all the Republicans there are doing good things. Well, part of not being in the swamp is to stay out of the swamp. Now, funny, Florida is a swamp in some areas, but I digress. He's saying, look, I'm setting policy before I'm even president, and I'm meeting with people here to where I'm not in the D.C. swamp, in the bureaucracy, worried about what's going to be said or leaked to the public. The things that are getting leaked now, truthfully, they're probably Trump leaking them because he wants to make sure that he gets those names out there to see if they, are viable for cabinet places. He's also leaking some information to hopefully help calm down this war. With Trump having this alleged meeting with NATO and with other world leaders, I think what it's showing is there is a back door open of talks with Putin and Medvedev and Russia and even Ukraine. Not that, yes, they're going to keep doing this thing because, to be honest with you, I think Ukraine wants more money from America, but I think they know that the spigot will probably be cut off with Trump. So I think what they're trying to do is escalate it to a point where NATO can't turn their back on Ukraine. I think that's what Ukraine is trying to do. I think Russia's trying to stop this because they've seen their men die just like Ukraine. And here's the thing. If Trump is talking secretly to NATO and backdoor channels to Russia and Ukraine, this thing could actually be solved when he becomes president. Here's another thing. He can't leak what he's going to do, and he can't actually say they're going to stop the war until he's president. Because if all of a sudden he came out and said, we have a peace negotiation, remember, there is still someone who does not like him in D.C. that is still president. And so he has the power to destroy whatever agreement that Trump would already make now. But there was an exclusive saying, Trump is having this big meeting, this big summit of world leaders of NATO to negotiate, and this negotiation has pushed good results. Now that's alleged, doesn't mean it's happened. But that leak, I think, shows that there is some major play happening to where if Ukraine does not shoot into St. Petersburg or Moscow or do something absolutely stupid with bombing Russia, Russia will hold itself from actually doing some major damage to Ukraine in the same way. I think the threats of what nuclear war and the things that Russia's saying is to try to keep people at bay and ultimately try to get to a peace. And to be honest with you, he's got to stay strong for his people too. I mean, any leader would want to do the same thing. Now, does that make Putin a great guy? Does that make Kiev a bad guy? No, it makes everybody a bad player because they need to stop this war because they're literally letting men and generations die right in front of their children and generations of people that will never be there on this earth, and to make that area strong. I mean, what about the farmers for Ukraine? What about the people in business? What about all the minerals that's in Russia? All these men have now, they said it's over 1 million men have died. Think of the impact that makes, the global impact of food, the global impact of energy, because that's two of the biggest hubs in the world. These secret meetings happening could be the biggest news and could be the best news, especially if Trump is negotiating this to where when he walks in, day one, major changes happen. And here's the thing, Trump is still fighting a bureaucracy in Washington. I think one of the best moves he made is making these policies without actually being in Washington. And to be honest with you, I think the best thing is to try to stay out of Washington as much as he can. Keep doing these open talks on social media to the people, so that way when it comes from Trump's mouth, we know it's true. When you hear all this other stuff, you don't know. It could be leaks, it could be true, it could be false. But bottom line is, there are signs that he is ending this before even being president. And that is good. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Things to think about. While we're fighting that war again, remember there's a battle on your food here back at home. Raise as much food as you can. I'm not saying you can own a farm. If you can't own a farm and you don't own 20 cow, 30 cow, 50 cow, it doesn't matter. You can grow some lettuce in a pot right on your back porch. That's sustainable living. If you can impact 5 or 10% of your food, that's a huge number because it's automatically going to help you be more sustainable. And all of a sudden, when that snowball starts going down, you're going to start growing and doing more and start being more sustainable, and it's going to keep on impacting your life to where that snowball then grows to a massive change in your life. Let it roll down the hill and start a major change in your life by raising a little bit of your own food. Rabbits, eggs, chickens, whatever it may be. If you want to go bigger, there's cows, there's sheep, and there's everything else, hog. But just start with some lettuce. $1 pack of lettuce from Survival Garden Seeds in a container on your back porch, and you have started what you call this food sustainable walk. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Pay attention to these stories. These cabinet appointments need to happen, because if we don't want to be like these cities like Montreal and London, then the only way is to make America back safe and great again, to make our cities good again, make our cities safe again. Not only that, we have to deregulate to where a lady doesn't have to have 5 different permits to sell some eggs and then still get closed down by the 6th. All the while, we're allowing people to steal right in broad daylight. Makes no sense, does it? Guys, thank you for watching. More than anything, spiritually prepare, because that's more important than anything, and know that God is always on our side. He's watching over us. Have a great day. God bless.